First and foremost, getting to know ourselves can be a lifelong process. My name is Andres Larios Brown. I use the pronouns they, them, he, him, and ella if we're speaking Spanish, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. We're doing that as human beings anyway, through every different part of our development process. And as young humans, there's lots of things that we're trying to figure out and explore about ourselves. What our favorite type of music is, what our favorite type of food is, but also really understanding what our identity is. And I think for those of us that are part of the LGBTQIA plus communities, that can be an unknown process, but can also be a really exciting process. We often hear a lot about different labels, and people use labels as a way to communicate parts of themselves pretty quickly. And that can be kind of a daunting task to look at all of these labels and say, oh, which one fits or what doesn't fit? Am I gay? Am I bi? Am I pan? Am I demi? Sometimes we can ask ourselves, am I cisgendered? Does my identity align with the gender that was assigned to me at birth? Am I trans? Am I non-binary? What does that mean? Oftentimes, the first step in really getting to know ourselves is really doing some research on these different labels, the definitions. What do they mean? Before we can see, do they fit, do they not fit? I know the Human Rights Campaign has a whole glossary of terms that does a really good job of describing some of these common labels that we hear. And so one way that we can start exploring aspects of ourselves is really doing some of our research and looking at these glossaries and saying, what are some of the labels that exist? What are some of the possibilities that exist? All the while keeping in mind that no label is going to fit perfectly, and that's okay. But knowing kind of the menu, the options, can be a really helpful place for us to start. Sometimes as we're coming out, there can be a lot of pressure for us to know our label just like that. And it's okay if we don't. It's okay if, as we're hearing some of these labels and as we're exploring some of these labels, we say, could this fit? Could this not fit? All of that is part of the process. Sometimes we talk about it like trying on different hats. And maybe for a day we say, I'm gonna try on this hat and see how it feels. See if it fits, see if it matches. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We can try on another hat another day. In my own journey, I've been playing and exploring with which label fits. When I first came out, I didn't use the label of non-binary. I didn't know about that piece of myself. As I've been exploring more of myself, I've recognized that that fits and feels really good. And so part of this is really getting to know ourselves so that we can know, oh, this fits, or I don't know if this fits. Because we're unique, because we're all very different, labels can help guide us, but they don't have to be all-encompassing. Part of this process is really kind of exploring and understanding how that label fits for us. No two people with the same label have the exact same experience. So it's also okay if, as we're hearing these labels, as we're exploring these labels, as we're trying on these different labels, that we see, how does that actually fit for me in my experience? The way that Andres is non-binary is different than how everybody else is non-binary. And that can be okay because I get to add my unique individual flair to my identities and my labels. I really want to remind us that this is all part of a process and there's no end point. There's no destination that we arrive at.